Hello, everyone. Welcome to Real Estate Right Now. We talk about real estate matters that matter to you. My name is Jay Izzo, and we are live here from Lindencraft Team Studios here in Raleigh, North Carolina, part of the Greater Research Triangle Park. Today's show. Uh, you know, one thing we have to admit is that we get older. And as we age, there are certain things that ultimately change. And we either have older parents or parents who are aging, or we're aging, and we need to know what the options are. What is it that is available to us? And I think we oftentimes ignore those issues because we don't want to think about aging. We don't want to think about that we're growing older. And growing older doesn't necessarily mean you're growing useless. Okay, let's be really clear on that, because I know even as I've gotten older over the years, I'm actually learning more about what my purpose is and being more solid on my core values and what I want out of life and the legacy that I ultimately want to leave. And many of you are facing a lot of different circumstances, whether you have older parents or yourself, and you're trying to plan, what's my future going to look like? What kind of help do I need? So we needed an expert to kind of walk us through that, because the fact of the matter is the home that you're probably living in right now may not be the home you're going to be able to stay in, right? And who can help you guide you in those things? So what I did was I brought in Paige Van Lenten, Vice President of Always Best Care. And you guys, I think your office is in Wake Forest.
It is. Absolutely.
And she joins us today to kind of help us walk through some things we may want to consider as we're dealing with aging parents or as we're aging.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah.
I live right here in North Raleigh, have lived here pretty much since I graduated from college, Georgia Tech in Atlanta.
Oh,
We're
wow.
having a great football.
You're having a great season.
We are. Brett Key was one of our alums.
Yeah.
I'm actually a football letter woman.
Okay. What does that mean?
I actually was Coach Ross's one of a paid assistant.
Really?
And so when we won the national championship, co-national championship, as my family loves to point out. So I love me some football.
Good for you. Congratulations on that. I think that's awesome. Let's talk about aging here. We're not comfortable with it.
No one is. No, I am usually brought in an emergency situation.
Mm-hmm.
Some crisis has happened, either the spouse, a sibling, an adult child is in a quandary, and we need to talk through immediately. So having this conversation sooner rather than later, letting your caregiver, your power of attorney, very important to have, very important to discuss your wishes.
Yeah.
Because things can happen at young ages. A diagnosis can change everything. As my husband loves to hear me say, a fall changes everything. A broken femur, a broken hip.
Yeah.
If there's some cognitive decline, sometimes it happens a lot faster after a fall, after a surgery with anesthesia. So just having whatever level of conversation, what your wishes are ahead of time is important.
Yeah, I think one of the things that, it's always better to be proactive than reactive.
100%.
And I'm guessing in your business, you see a lot of reactivity versus proactivity.
Absolutely. If I'm brought in with a family early, we talk about plan Bs, plan Cs, plan Ds, because we are very lucky in our area. We have lots of choices of what that next living opportunity could look like, or staying home with really good care that can be trustworthy. There's lots of options. And talking through what your wishes are, because that's when a lot of the animosity builds too, is an adult child from another state swoops in and is going to save the day. Well, that's not what mama wanted.
Right.
Mama and daddy talked about it, but they didn't ever talk to their children about it. They didn't talk to their siblings about it. They didn't talk about how it's going to be funded. Funding is a big thing. And so if I'm brought in early, we talk about different options. And, everybody wants to stay home. That is their choice. I mean, 90% of the people, no one wakes up and says, I get to go to assisted living today.
Right.
No one gets, and there are so many different options. There's probably 5 different levels of senior aging housing, what that looks like. And just because you come home with a dementia diagnosis doesn't mean I need memory care tomorrow.
Right.
I've had many adult children call me. We went to the neurologist and I got the D word for mama. I'm like, which D word? There's a lot of different D words and they age differently, what those different dementias look like.
Yeah, right.
And they're like, we need to immediately go look at memory care. And I'm like, why do we need memory care? Is mom racing to the door? Have the police been brought in?
Right.
Why do we need memory care? And so then I start talking through what the different levels of housing and different levels of care can look like.
Right. My mom, who passed away about a year and a half ago, 91, she lived a long life.
Congratulations.
She had, her dream was she was just going to live in her house
100%.
forever. And her last few months of life, my sister, who lived right next door to her, could no longer really take care of her as much as mom. And so we put her in assisted living, right? My mom loved it. By the way, my mom loved it.
People can thrive when they're living at the right level, when they're not feeling like a burden on that loved one next door. They're with other like-minded, like-aged people that grew up similarly.
Yeah.
They have activities. They're getting the nutrition that they need.
Right.
They're being hydrated.
Right.
Their medicine is being regulated accurately.
Right.
It can all make a difference.
Well, mom was a diabetic. Okay. And insulin dependent diabetic. And, my sister did all that stuff and she did great. Mom resisted wanting to go in. But then when she got there and there was all these other people that she was around and she wasn't able to walk anymore. She had to be kind of wheeled around in a wheelchair, but she loved going to the care center because they wheeled her to dinner to the table. The food was good. There were people at her table and they talked and they chatted, right? And in fact, the day before she passed, she found a purpose because my mother was a singer and she always loved church music. And she said, they don't do any real church here. She told my sister the night before she passed, she said, would you bring me my music, my hymn music, and I'd like to lead people in worship music at the thing and at least give it a try. And of course the day my sister was going to bring it, she passed. But mom had regained a purpose and an excitement that she didn't have. And I bring this story up because it was a shock to us because she said, I just want to be home with my dog.
I could cry just listening to it because that is exactly what you said earlier when you said knowing what your legacy is and what your purpose is as we age. As somebody is making that move in, and that's again why the conversation is so important. What mattered to you when you were a teenager? What did you enjoy doing when you were a 20-year-old before you became a mom and becoming a mom or a dad became all encompassing or reaching for that next dollar? What is their heart purpose? What can they do to help somebody else in that living environment have a better day?
Yeah.
Because you had to get dressed today.
Yeah.
You had to, you went to a meal and you had conversation that you wanted to have, not because you had to have it.
Right.
And so there's a lot of paperwork when you're making whatever that move is. Whoever's filling out the paperwork needs to know, again, your wishes. What would make your day happy?
That's the thing. It wasn't mom's wish to go, but when she got there,
she thrived.
She thrived and she loved it. And she loved being with the people. And I think what happens is, and you correct me, but I thought what happened was mom had isolated herself so long that when she got around people she blossomed.
Isolation kills you.
Right.
We learned it in, over the last 5 to 10 years, when you're isolated in a pod and you're insulated with only like-minded people. You need to be around others.
Yeah.
And you need to give them hope.
Right.
To have a better life.
Right.
And it could be around a bingo game, or it could be with a TED Talk that is very high level, technical.
Yeah.
Everybody's different. And that's why, so I'm a senior living placement professional.
Right.
I know what all of the places around here look like, what their management team looks like.
Right.
Not everything's the same. Not everybody is looking for bells and whistles, or they're not looking for high level care. And so talking to a professional in placement, it's just like talking to a real estate professional.
Right.
There's different neighborhoods that have different vibes, different feelings. And I always say, keep touring until you feel it in your gut.
Right.
And then, you found the right place.
Yeah. I think, the other reason I told the story is because I also don't want people to get locked into going, well, this is what mom wanted, and mom always knew what was best. Because sometimes that's just not true, because mom's thing was, I just want to be home with my dog and watch my TV.
100%.
Right. Let's go back to,
sometimes you just have to pull that Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
And then the adult child has to become the parent.
Yes.
And when you change roles,
yes,
changing roles is hard.
Right.
And you feel guilty. I mean, we all feel it, but having a professional team around you, a good support team that you're getting very good advice from, helps make those decisions easier.
So let's talk about your role in being proactive.
Yes.
One of the things I wish my mom would have done is I wish she would have done an estate instead of a will. Because had the estate been clear, we'd have had more direction rather than guessing. Even though mom's faculties were all there, through 91, and she resisted my sister's approach to going to this route. But let's talk about, and the will became a mess for us. And she was trying to do the right thing, but it wound up splitting a very small house 14 ways, because she included not only Mary, my sister Mary and me, but she included the grandchildren. And then there was one great grandchild. So she decided to include the great grandchild. Well, there were 5 more great grandchildren after that.
To get it to 14.
And so we got it to 14 people. And so it became a messy situation. It's been resolved, but it was still a mess. I want to talk about being more proactive in terms of, maybe encouraging. How do you guys do this to maybe, when you start seeing this, how do we encourage people to become more proactive, setting up an estate, getting the things that they want in writing? How involved do you get into that part of it?
I do not.
Okay.
I have some elder care attorneys that I very much trust and give my recommendations to, because everybody's situation is different.
Okay.
They could have veterans, ability to get veterans. They could have the ability to, I'm an only child. Right. And so at this point, we have put kind of everything in my mom and my name that it passes to me on death to be able to do that, because there is nobody to fight with or to have that discussion.
Congratulations.
Well, it's hard. Well, it's both ways, because yes, it all does roll down to me, but there is nobody else to bounce the ideas off of and to help make sure that we're making the right decisions for my mom, because she is a widow now. Yeah. But everybody's situation is very different. Everybody's finances are very different.
Absolutely.
And that's one of your teammates. When you're talking about setting up that support, having a good real estate advisor that has worked with the elderly and can talk to the adult children or to the POA, having a really good elder law, elder care attorney is very important. Talking to a good financial person, is a reverse mortgage ever a good idea? for someone. And it could be.
It could be.
You know, if they are homebound and they need the money out of it to bring in-home care. So we are very different. Our company is we do both in-home care and senior living placement.
Okay.
So when a family comes and talks to me,
Mm-hmm.
I've done this a long time, and I can talk through a lot of different levels of what care at this moment looks like and what care at plan B or plan C looks like. Bringing in a little bit of care is always a good idea, even if you're thinking about moving them immediately, because then they get used to a stranger. They get used to somebody else doing some hands-on activities or just being in their space instead of just being thrown into this person's in and out of my room all the time. This person's going to be in there while I'm toileting. And bringing in a little bit of care. Care is expensive. And period. So what we do is when we get to a certain amount of hours or a certain level of care, we start having the conversation, is a move prudent to help you conserve your assets? So when you get to, 10 to 12 hours a day, most likely, if finances are an issue, a move to a different level can be less expensive. And we start having that conversation. Here in our area, a lot of places are on wait list. I know what the census is in all of those places. I know who the management team is. I can start having that conversation. We can get on some wait list so that if an emergency arises, we knew you liked that one, and now you're at the top of the list. So my company's different because we will have the conversation about in-home care and placement at the same time, where my in-home care competition is really talking about staying home as long, aging in place, doing what you can do. My placement competitors are talking about let's make the move. And we are very open to having the conversation about both.
When should we start this process with you? When is a good time that we should say, we should probably have a conversation with someone about this care? When should we start talking to you?
I grew up in a home that we talked about death. We talked about wishes. We talked about the things you're not supposed to talk about. So we kind of I know what mom and dad's wishes were always, and what my grandmother's wishes were. I know what my spouse's wishes are because we were willing to talk about it. Not every family has those discussions. It's kind of taboo. Starting with those conversations sooner rather than later, while your kids are young, because something could happen to me today.
Absolutely.
And so we have made provisions for the unknown. I'm a 12-year cancer survivor, so we had to have those. I'm thrilled, and I'm early detection. Changes everything. October 1st, ladies.
Good for you.
But have the conversation with your loved ones, have a good power of attorney. Know that you can trust them. Know that they're going to take your wishes. I have had conversations where it's about the assets at the end of the day when the adult children come to me. It's about, what their inheritance is going to look like. Well, a lot of times mom and dad made that money. They deserve the best care that they can get today. Coming to me when a diagnosis happens, when you start seeing little signs. As I said earlier, a fall changes everything. A major surgery changes everything. I could tell you story after story about a very close personal friend's dad a year after retiring. Assets are not a problem, had a massive stroke. Life changed. We didn't really, we knew what dad wanted to do, and it was to travel and see the world because he had worked all of his life not being able to do those things. They were about to make a very a very expensive decision that he was not going to have a great quality of life. Having a conversation with me about where a stroke victim could go and live a full life, not in a skilled nursing facility. And so talking through different options sooner rather than later. I don't want to give it an age because I spoke to a sister-in-law yesterday that has a 57-year-old and had a life-changing event and needs care the rest of their life.
Right.
So at 57, you probably haven't had that conversation. At 72, you probably should have some kind of an idea. And definitely into your 80s, you need to know what tomorrow could look like.
And I think what you're saying here, and I'm not looking for an age, and I don't think we should, but I think the big point here is, for everybody watching and for everybody listening, is have the conversation regardless of your age.
Amen. Exactly.
Start having this conversation now with your kids.
Mm-hmm.
It may be uncomfortable. It probably is uncomfortable. I know you probably want to avoid it, but
most do. We talk about it. I mean, my kids know what
you should have the conversation. I think that sounds like the first step.
Absolutely.
Is start having these conversations and
about advanced directives.
Right.
Because if there is a car accident or something like that, your children need to know what your wishes are.
Right.
With your advanced directives.
Right.
And then from there, what does the tomorrow look like? Are you able to stay in your house? Like we just did some renovations on our house. We live in the same house that we built 29 years ago, the month after we got married.
Right.
And we had to make, do we add a downstairs bedroom?
Right.
Or if we're aging in place, because all of our bedrooms are upstairs. So we really decided we wanted more living space rather than a downstairs bedroom. My husband's comment was, if we can't walk up the stairs, we need to move. We need to find another option to live. And so we had those conversations in our early 50s, and our kids heard us talking about those things.
Right.
And so, to me, it's including those that you trust and start building that team. I mean, I have so many people in my phone that when I see it, the way I put them, mom, this, and then they'll call me. It's actually Aunt Betty that needs you now. And so we start talking about Aunt Betty, and we start talking about, you can get on some wait list and what tomorrow's wait list, what we hope it looks like, but we may not be able to go to that level of care.
Right. The other thing is, and as someone who, has worked in the psychological field and has dealt sadly with dementia on different levels, one of the things, that we kind of all have to be prepared for, whether we want to admit it or not, is that if you have a parent or if you have someone who is currently have all their faculties and is able to make decisions for themselves as much as possible now, we don't know. Dementia is one of those weird things that we just don't know when that happens and how it occurs, and the speed of it changes. For some people, its onset is very, very quickly and it goes very, very fast. Some, it's a longer term thing where it can take longer and longer and longer to get there. I think one of the other things to be preemptive or to be proactive here is to have the conversations before they can't make that decision.
Because then somebody else is going to make the decision for you.
Right.
And it's, going to be a legal matter. And so making sure that you have all of everything in, because dementia is scary.
It's real
and
scary.
There's very many different buckets of what dementia can look like.
It is. It's a lot.
And so I hope what people hear from me today is to not be scared of the conversation. Do not isolate yourself.
Right.
Isolation will kill you.
Right.
Find good, trustworthy advisors to have a team of support around you, because it's coming.
So let's, I don't want to beat the conversation thing to death, but this is where I think I want you to come in.
Okay.
From always best care standpoint and from your standpoint, when they're thinking about having these conversations, should they involve you at that point?
If absolutely. To me, having more information is great. Knowing that a dementia diagnosis does not mean memory care tomorrow.
Right.
We can move into an independent living community with supportive services if that's right for the family. Sometimes we need to move into an assisted living. And so seeing what today looks like, I'm actually working with 2 sisters right now, and Dad's been living with them for 10 plus years. And where we started from 9 months ago,
Mm-hmm.
Dad's changed.
Mm.
And so we're actually bringing in the community that they chose to do an assessment, which is a free assessment,
Okay.
to see, is Dad assisted living
Mm.
currently, or is Dad already at memory care?
Mm-hmm.
And not to be scared of either of those terminologies.
Mm.
We want them placed in the right
Mhm.
realm so that they may have the ability to thrive, just like your mom did at 91.
Yeah.
Because you put her in that right environment,
Right.
she was able to have those last few years
Yeah.
finding her purpose. And that's
Yeah.
exactly so where Dad was 9 months ago is different from where Dad is today. And every community does a different assessment.
Mm.
I can have the same person assessed by two communities, and one community can say assisted living,
Mm.
and another one can say memory care.
Right.
And that has happened on
Mm.
multiple times. So it's, again, then having that bit of knowledge
Mm-hmm.
and going back to both communities and looking around with new eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Where do I see Dad thriving?
Right.
Where do I see Dad's needs being met? Because earlier in my career, so many people would hear, oh, he could go assisted living here, but memory care here. And I really wouldn't then have that a little deeper conversation with them. And I mean, it's always my client's choice of where they choose. All I do is make the introduction and help guide them. But it wasn't always the right decision for Dad to go to assisted living or husband to go to assisted living. So now I'm like, let's go in with a different set of eyes and see where we really think Dad's needs, husband's needs, wife's needs are going to be met.
I'm going to look at this from the caregiver. I'm thinking about my sister, who was the primary caregiver of my mom. At the time, she did a marvelous job. I mean, my brother-in-law did an amazing job, and the grands and the great-grands were always supportive. And I can't say enough about the work that my sister and brother-in-law and all of them did. I mean, they were fantastic. When do we go, maybe mom and dad, if they're both together, or maybe it's just mom or dad, should we have the conversation with you about, I'm not sure living at their home is the best?
A lot of times you can go in, there is an absolute thing of caregiver burnout.
Right.
The caregiver needs support.
Right.
The caregiver needs to feel the love from the sibling that's afar, and that they're doing the right thing.
Right.
But there does become a time when it's just too much. And you've got to be able to do that. You can go into a home and you see, mom used to always keep a really clean house. Right. And all of a sudden you start seeing the dust bunnies in there, or you start seeing toilets not getting flushed and things like that. Or all of a sudden you start seeing stacks of mail, some past due notices, and food maybe sitting out longer than it should, or expiration dates, don't ever go through the spice drawer.
Yeah, don't do that. Yeah, that's never a good thing.
No, there's some that have 19s in front of them.
Yeah.
Some of those expiration dates of 19s.
Actually, some of them may have 19s with a 5 or a 6.
Amen. Exactly. So exactly, because we're not going to throw anything away.
I'm just speaking from my own personal experience.
When my dad passed away, and some of my girlfriends from home came up, and they're like, "Do you see these spices?" I'm like, "Just put them in the trash can.
Just
put them in the trash can."
Yeah, right.
But so those are some of the signs, or that all of a sudden mom's napping a lot more, or she's not able to get to the toilet as quickly, or out of bed, or the fear of the fall. Right. And so those are all some triggers to continue that conversation of, let's just go look. And sometimes, having the conversation in front of them is the right idea. And sometimes the conversation not in front of them is the right idea. And just knowing what your family dynamics
you brought up something, you called it burnout. In psychology, we have another term called compassion fatigue.
Absolutely.
And oftentimes the caregiver, and I think my sister experienced this towards the end a little bit, where she was she got frustrated with mom's demands. And I think she was starting to have a little bit of compassion fatigue. It's not that she didn't love mom, and it's not that she didn't do that she wanted to request, but it became so burdensome that it went to, I'm fatigued. My compassion
Anger.
is and I'm upset because she would tell me a story where I would ask mom what she wanted to eat, and she said, well, I would want this or I want this. And then she would change her mind as soon as I was making it because she wanted something else. And it became very frustrating for her, and I think for my mom, because my mom was at a point where, she was in the mood for something and then she changed her mood, of what she wanted later. And then she'd be upset because it didn't get in the time she wanted and that type of thing. Right. And so I think my sister experienced a little bit of compassion fatigue over the course of time.
Absolutely.
Right. And I think that's important sign for you as a caregiver to bring you in as well, because when you start experiencing that a bit of frustration, we probably need to talk to you.
Absolutely. Well, where you start snapping,
Yeah,
where something that didn't bother you 6 months ago, and now, Mom, I just took you to the bathroom. What do you mean you've got to go again?
Right.
Or exactly like the meal. I mean, I know I frustrate my husband, where are we going to go to dinner tonight? Are we going to go to, we eat at 4 places.
I don't care.
And and he doesn't, I do. And then as we're driving to something that begins with an M down the road, I'm like, oh, maybe I want the P. And he's like, no, I've already thought through the prefix, what I'm getting. And when you've had that every day for 6 months, and the wear and tear it does on the caregiver's body. I don't even want to tell you, especially in a married couple that's been together 60 years, the codependency that happens. And all of a sudden, I've heard, oh, well, I'm the brain of the family and I'm the driver of the family. So you've got one driving while the other one's giving direction because physically one can drive, but he can't mentally. And those are real. Those are real stories. And just the wear and tear it does, and how many times a caregiver can pass away prior to the one they're caring for, the percentage is pretty high. So getting support while you can, finding out what resources are out there, is very important. And just not feeling alone. And not feeling the guilt that is happening. And that's where, I'm a very boisterous person and a tornado coming in. But when I'm working with my families, it's staying calm. It's listening to both sides. It's really helping them. That's sometimes I always say that's where my Georgia Tech education came into play, is being a project manager, because it's multiple personalities. It's being able to work numbers very quickly, whether somebody has $10,000 in the bank or $10 million in the bank makes a big decision also. And being able to run numbers of how long can the finances, the assets last. And just bringing in, again, I am not the answer of everything. If I'm not, I've worked in the industry long enough that I have very trusted resources that I sent my mom to, that I sent my best friend's grandparents to, just it's knowing the trusted resources at a very critical time in life, because it's emotional. It's not, and especially when it's in crisis. We're in the hospital. They told us we have to leave today. Well, no, you don't. Let's talk through why you don't have to leave today. Because we can talk through that. But where do we go next? And why does making a today decision, you don't need to go somewhere that you can stay for the next 40 years. Let's go find the best place for today. And then when you need extra care and you need to make a change, we talk about it, because we want you to thrive. We want you to go somewhere to get as strong as possible, to find your purpose, to find your passion.
Or reawaken
a passion. Because you're exhausted. You hadn't been given choices. You've lived back. I'm working with 2 couples right now with the adult children on both sides in different counties very close to here. They've lived on the family farm. And being on a family farm means it takes you a while to get just to the mailbox. Then to get to the Food Lion or to the Piggly Wiggly is even another 4 or 5 miles. So
Piggly Wiggly. I'm sorry.
You can tell where I grew up.
Love the pig.
I'm big on the pig.
We love the pig.
Exactly. So if it's the couple that's been together for 60 years, they're exhausted.
Yeah, sure.
And getting EMS out there is hard. It's not, they're not, if you're living in a community, an independent living community around here, they're probably going to get there in 2.5, 3, 4 minutes, out on the family farm, it could take 20, and that could be the difference. And so just with both of these couples that I'm literally in the last 2 weeks been working with, we made a decision for the next 90 days. We're getting dad or mom out of a hospital setting, out of a rehab setting, into a setting where we can bring PTOT in. We can have care around them. We know their meals are being made. We know housekeeping's coming in. We know that they have transportation that can take a wheelchair to get them to their doctor's appointments, but it's a 90-day decision. And the way we talked about 90 days is it's getting them through the holidays, because then the holidays, you don't have to bring down the Christmas tree or any other holiday adornments that need to come out. You're going to have it all around you in a vibrant community with music down there, and not have to worry about going to bake the cookies for the grandkids, and taking some of that pressure off of them. And then in 90 days, we're going to talk about the dangers of ice, being isolated if an ice storm comes in. But we're not making the decision to sell anything today. We're not making the decision of a really large down payment of a community. We're just getting as strong as we can for the next 90 days. And then in 90 days, we'll have another conversation.
Just to let everybody know, you probably heard the word PTOT. I just want to give those. It's physical therapy, occupational therapy. And so just in case you heard PTOT and wondering, don't even know what that acronym means, just to let you know what that is.
I've been trying to elongate those things, but physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy.
Yeah, we speak the same language, so I was okay with it. But I needed to let everybody know. What she just said, PTOT. What's that?
Exactly.
So let's talk about Always Best Care and your role, which we've been doing actually in a subtle way. But let's talk about not all, but let's talk about the major things that you're going to help people walk through in that you deal with on a regular basis. And you're smiling at me. You can't, for those who are listening on podcast, you can't see her smile because she just gave me this look of, Jay, you have no idea how many things I have to deal with.
my kids, now they're not kids anymore, 27 and 25. They'll just like, oh, please don't go down the road without Depends and toileting. They're in the car, and even my husband's like, a fall changes everything. I mean, balance, being strong, going to a balance strengthening class at your local senior center, or agency for active living, or the aging, all of those things.
I even knew personal trainers that only worked with older people, and 100%. That's all they did was core work, stability work, right? And they're out there, folks. I'm telling you,
and Medicare will pay for this. They will pay for them to come to your home. You need a doctor's prescription, to come out. But that, if you fall, what's the safe way to get back up? That happened with my mom, teaching herself to get on all fours, to use the core strength that she didn't have to pull herself back up. Those are the little things, y'all, that can really make the difference. Is a 15-minute walk around the block, getting your lungs opened up, so that when you go into a major surgery, when you're on, oxygen, your lungs are used to being opened fully. It's those little things. And again, that's when I'm talking about bringing that support team, bringing them in to start today to help you age better tomorrow.
And when they come, if they want to set up an appointment with you,
absolutely,
right? Which they can do, right?
Absolutely,
they can call you.
A free consultation,
and
anytime.
You get free consultation to do that. When they come into that consultation, what should they expect from the conversation in you?
You never know where it's going to go.
Mm,
I'm going to listen to what their most pressing problem is today
mhm,
and what scares them the most about tomorrow.
mm,
What's holding them back from tomorrow? Um, Trying to give hope that there is great options out there.
yeah.
When I first started doing this, one of the questions that I used to ask is, on a Friday night, what did supper look like for
Mm,
your family?
mm,
Was mama making a big spread
mm,
and the people were coming in off the farm and we were
mm,
feeding a big group there?
right.
Or did Friday night look like going to the country club where mama was being served?
Mm.
That says a lot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right.
What, like, to me, what type of a community am I looking at for that?
Right.
Where is mom going to be comfortable? Mom was the one preparing, and
Mm.
that's where hopefully it filled up her cup. Now, some people were like, all I wanted to do was be served on Friday night, Paige. Don't let them fool you. That's not what I wanted to do. Fried green tomatoes and okra wasn't what I wanted, filet mignon and Chateaubriand is what I'd rather have had.
Yeah.
But so that's, to me, it's really finding out the core of what that person looks like. Were they at church 3 times a week? Or were they, reading the Bible and at home silently? Or did they have no belief system?
Right.
And all, but hope is the big word of what tomorrow can look like for the current, all 3 generations.
Mm. That's so good, because I think one of the bridges to the conversations that we don't want to have or we avoid having is to have a conversation with you to say, wait a second, the future doesn't have to be bleak. In fact, we can do something really, really great. We have some opportunities to do some great things that can make the end of your life
Better than the middle.
maybe better than the middle of it, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that should encourage us
Absolutely.
greatly to say, we have access to you,
100%.
and you're going to take a look and say, wait, hold on here. There's a lot of possibilities that we have, and we can really make this good. Yes, some of them are going to be more expensive than others. We just have to acknowledge that. That's just a fact.
It's the fact in everything.
Right.
It's what car you go choose.
Right.
Anything.
But there's options. And I think that's the big thing that you do, is you provide the caregivers or the future caregivers or the person who is aging with options.
Absolutely. So we can come in for as little as 1 hour a week into your home. We do not have minimums of 20 hours. And as my mom, she's about to have her 7th procedure in a year, surgical procedure.
Right.
After 2, maybe 3 of them, I brought in my caregivers to help her. And one of her biggest complaints was, I don't need them for 4 hours. I need them for the moment that I'm in the shower to help do some laundry, to help me get the dishes loaded into the dishwasher. They're done in 2 hours. I don't want to pay for 4 hours. So about a year ago, we changed to where we can have 1 hour short shifts. So that is another little differentiation about what we can do, up to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're also, you're not signing a long contract of you have to do 24/7 for the next 2 months. You can do 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 3 days right after a hospital visit, and then scale it down. I always say we just take off some of the layers of the onion, but we want you to be safe, and for husband, wife, mama, daddy to feel safe right after a big hospital visit. Because what took them to the hospital? Was it being alone in the house and they laid in the floor for 12 hours? Was it a broken immediate bone? And just helping them again to give them hope that being back home is okay or it's not. Right. And we can pivot and make those changes pretty quickly.
Yeah. Here's something that occurred to me. Something happened, it was with my mom's situation, is my mom had a little bit of money that she could afford to pay for a certain period of time. She died before her money ran out. But oftentimes, the assisted care living that we were in were wanting to sign over the house that she had. No, she's
Never.
okay. So
Never.
talk to us about that, because that is something that came up with us, where they were saying, well, you're going to have to sign over the title and the deed to us, so that we can ensure that we're going to get paid.
And I am sure that they were saying that in a non-scam way.
Yeah,
but there are scams everywhere. There are also other ways. That's when you bring in a real estate professional to give you an honest idea of what that's probably your largest asset that you have.
Yeah.
And your wishes may be that asset is passed down to a different generation. Again, bring a team of trusted professionals around you. To be honest, I don't know that I've ever heard that about a lien being, a lien on the house.
They wanted to ensure that they were going to constantly get paid. And so they were literally asking, basically, to try to take over title of the house so that they could do it. Now,
well, I mean, it's contractual. I mean, you're going to owe them the money. I mean, we're around here. I mean, it's going to be a very lengthy contract.
And they're not from here, so it could have been a state thing, because
every state is very different.
And I have to tell you that even with my friends who still live back in the Midwest, this isn't the only time it's happened.
Okay,
it's happened several times, and they have attorneys specific for this in the Midwest to keep this from happening, because it's not just one facility. It's, matter of fact, almost all facilities are like this. So maybe that is
a different conversation, because there are certain ones even around here. All of them have different longevity of what the contract can look like.
Okay.
So you have, I'm just going to give y'all the probably 5 different levels of what over 55 housing can look like. You can buy into an over 55 community that has standalone homes and townhouses that has a great community around it.
We have one just up the road from here.
Yes. And great socials, great on-site services there.
And it's security and everything, by the way, because my friend is in charge of all the security.
Absolutely. So that is what you actually own, a piece of property. You own your own home, you own your townhouse, and that is what that looks like. The next level from there is probably an over 55 apartment. And we have 3 great over 55 apartments here. It is usually a year lease. You can usually buy it out with a 60-day exit plan. It has a community feel. Everybody there is either over 55 or over 62. There's usually no meals. There's usually no transportation, but it's like-minded people. It's you have the ability to still live a very comfortable life, probably the least expensive option. And these are non-income limited. There's other options that are income limiting that you can get into. The next level after an over 55 apartment would be something called independent living, and independent living with supportive services. Those are going to give you meal options. They're going to give you activities. They're usually most, I'd say all the time, will have transportation options. They are going to have some type of a security. They're going to, whether it's a daily check-in, but they're trying to get eyes on you to make sure that you have not fallen in your own apartment on a daily basis.
My godmother lived in one of those communities.
They're great.
They're great.
Then they also have on-site in-home care companies usually that can come in and do short shifts or do a la carte. And that is that next level of being independent, but you can live there till last breath. A lot of the on-site services, the in-home care companies can do a lot. We actually are in 2 independent living communities right here in the area, and we can do a Hoyer lift. And we can, help somebody be able to get into their electric wheelchair and have a full day. From there, If you need true med management, you need eyes on you about every 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
The next level is assisted living.
Yeah.
And that is where a med tech is going to come around on a set schedule
My mom's
with your
situation.
meds.
Yeah, it's my
and
mom's
here is
situation.
an insulin. They're checking your blood, and they're going to do the insulin. I always say if the person can't fill their own pill box,
Right.
then, or they're going to play with them and they can't keep their hands out of them, then it probably needs to be in a locked cart being brought to them. So that next level is assisted living. If you're living in independent living or assisted living, and there is a significant cognitive decline, and we're going towards the exit, and we're not safe, or we're being verbally abusive, lots of different levels, then maybe memory care is needed. And then one of my favorites is, as we're usually a much higher level of care and we're maybe nearing last breaths, there's around here, we have very good options called residential care homes. And they are smaller environments where it's a closer to one-to-one caregiver to caree ratio. And they're getting more of that hands-on attention that they need. And so that's kind of the different levels. And they don't always go up in price. There's some that level out. But that's when you talk to a professional that does this every day, I can give you what today's prices are in a heartbeat. I can tell you where the openings are, why an executive director that they've had 3 in the year. So that's where those different levels of over 55 living options look like. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. But we've done an hour.
No.
Yeah, we've done an hour here. You've been amazing. Matter of fact, it says right there, you're amazing, Paige. Such an important role that people don't know is there for them. And
Thank you.
And so you've gotten 2 amazings today already. So here's what I need you to do.
Okay.
How do people get a hold of you?
They can, my email is probably the best.
Okay, well, tell them what that is.
Paige at nc-seniorcare.com. PAIGE at nc-seniorcare.com.
So let me make sure I've got it right. Paige, PAIGE at nc seniorcare.com. Okay, did you get that out there, everybody? Because that's going to be a really important email address.
Absolutely.
Free.
And here is my work mobile. And please, I'm great with text or telephone numbers.
Tell them that.
919-453-0887. I always say, go ahead and plug me in your phone for an emergency contact so that when you're in the emergency room and you need immediate help, you can text me. Hey, Daddy fell. He broke his hip. Talk to me about what the next level looks like. Can we go look at some plan Bs? Can we go look at some plan Cs? Again, I'm a free consultation, both for in-home care. If it becomes you want to go home, I'm going to immediately put you in charge of my, in touch with my nursing staff. They're going to come out. They're going to do a safety check. They're going to they're going to do an individualized care plan. And they're going to show you how you have access to our website. You can see exactly what care is happening on a daily basis. All of that is free. And then if we are going to start talking about placement and different options, we will talk about what today looks like. And we will put time on each of our schedules. It's usually about a half day. I actually personally tour with you. I make all your appointments. I ask you not to really get out there and start doing a lot and giving your information online because you're going to get inundated by people. You just, and whether it's me or somebody that is like me, it's boots on the ground. It's people that go into the communities. When you see them, you see we have an immediate interaction with that sales director, that executive director, because if there is a problem down the road, I might have brought 20 families to them that year. They really want my families to be happy. I mean, they want all of their families to be happy. And I actually just saw the value of this because my daughter's getting married and she's getting married out of state. And I was doing exactly what I tell my family's doing. I was going online. I was doing a lot of research. And where she's getting married, contractually, I have to have a certain amount of time planner. And so all of a sudden, my husband and I went for a walk down our little quiet street. And I said, I see the value of a full-time planner. I see it like me. She has all of those vendors on speed dial. Right. She's working 20 weddings with them this year. It's not just little Van Lenten wedding, right, where if the flowers aren't exactly what we want, oh, well, they're not coming back. My planner, they want her happy. And so we did make the decision to go with a planner. And it was because I saw the value I have with families with the value she's going to have with me and my family. And I've already seen it. So again, it's not just me. Find a team that you trust, a real estate, a elder care attorney, a good financial planner, in-home care, home health. Those are different. Home health is the physical therapy, occupational therapy. Start today, going on that walk and getting the team around you. But most importantly, have the conversation with your family or your trusted loved ones. Perfect. Let them know what your wishes are so that they can try to honor that to the best of their abilities. That's awesome. It was 919-453-0887. 0887. Look at your memory. 919-453-0887. Yep. Okay. Put that in your phone. Yeah. Paige in case of an emergency. Paige, yeah. Paige Van Lenten. Paige Van Lenten, thank you. Oh my gosh. This was a blast. I enjoyed my conversation with you. You've been so amazing. Thank you so much. Stay with me. Folks, it's the show. And you know what? You had a lot of choices. You chose us. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate you doing that. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube, wherever you're listening to the show via podcast. Would you do us a favor? Give us a 5-star review. If you want to get a hold of me, it's very simple. Just j@lindacraft.com. And if you have suggestions for the show, we'd love to entertain those. We thank you so much. We are so grateful for all that you do by joining us. And you know what I say to you everywhere, all over the world, and that is this. Ciao, everybody.